Well. It's 11:11 p.m. and it's actually Friday night, but this is going to be the video for Sunday. Since I am not going to be home a lot tomorrow, I have a very busy day, I feel it's best to do it tonight so that I don't have to worry about doing it when I get up in the morning. It will be already done. The title is a strange one. Is. Was/is there an empire of pharaohs behind all the rest? The video Peter Egler posted after I did my last video, the one about empires crumbling, gave me a big pause. The video showed what might be evidence that Switzerland, yes, that neutral nation nestled in the Alps in the middle of Europe, may, in fact, be the modern seat of the Pharaohs. Was Egypt, therefore, the prototype of Babylon, Persia, Greece, Rome, England, and the United States? Is this just one more conspiracy theory to hang all the others on? Is the cradle of the post-Atlantean civilization the mother of all hierarchical tyrannies to the present day? And then I include the link to the actual video that I'm referring to, which initially Peter said was 3 hours, and this one is an abbreviated video. It's Dr. SDF, and I have no idea what SDF stands for. Sean Hross, H-R-O-S-S, or it might be, the H might be silent, and it might just be Dr. Sean Ross, but I don't know what the SDF period stands for. Anyway, the Pharaoh Show is the name of the video. It's a cry for help. Make it viral. The Pharaohs never died. Switzerland is their base. The Crusades, the last stronghold of the Templars. They fell on May 18th, 1291, and 2.5 months later, Switzerland was founded on August 1st, 1291. That's just reading the little blurb that they have on their video, like I put blurbs on mine. Anyway, I'm beginning to think that I don't know anything, and that everything I've been taught is either wrong or it's only a little piece of the picture, and there's a whole lot more that we don't know. Now, Anastasia, and I'm referring now to the series of books, the 9 books by Vladimir Megra in Russian, the original language, translated into a whole bunch of other languages since, the Ringing Cedars of Russia series that features the young lady named Anastasia, who had amazing gifts, and one of her gifts was the ability to talk about the past, and she traces the past of the present age till 10,000 years ago in Egypt, where the priestcraft and the kinghood, or the pharaohhood, was first developed, and where they first developed the idea of paying the slaves, using money to pay the slaves so that they could have the appearance of being free, and yet they did the exact same work that they did when they were slaves. It's just now that they believed they were doing it for themselves because they were being paid for it. And it was where, as I said, it was where the priestcraft and the idea of a divine king first came into being, and it basically spread around the entire Mediterranean basin into the Middle East, as far east as Persia and as far west as Rome, and then ultimately Great Britain and the United States, which I believe are extensions actually of the Roman Empire, but are they all extensions of the Egyptian masterminded mystery school thing of creating not a patriarchy. Here's the irony. It's a matriarchy. And that was one of the things that this Dr. Ross, I'm going to call him Dr. Ross, pointed out. It wasn't a patriarchy. It was a matriarchy. It was the worship of Isis. It wasn't a patriarchy at all. Although the religions were ultimately came out of Egypt. Judaism came out of Egypt. Even the modern day Islamicists claim that, in a sense, it comes out of Egypt. And he talks about that, I believe, in one of the things. And then there was another video about the MI6 and the British Secret Service, and it shows the connection there of the British whole thing to the Pharaoh. But Switzerland, this neutral little nation that's always been neutral and never been attacked and always stayed out, wonder why? Because that's where the banks are. That's where the central banks originated. All of them came out of Switzerland. And where the money went out, they didn't want the war to come back. They financed the wars. So all of it originated, this whole horrible banking system that has plagued the earth into our present day, originated in Switzerland. And Swiss Indo is based in Switzerland. And I sometimes wonder what the holdup is, because I don't think the holdup is in Asia. I don't think the holdup is with Mr. Sino. I think the holdup is in Europe. And if I wanted to make it a country, it would be Switzerland. Swiss Indo. Will the Swiss ever give up their pharaohhood, if indeed this doctor's claim is reality? Now, I know we blame everything on the Jews and the Jesuits and everything else, but does it all come from the Pharaoh? Does the Roman Church come from the Pharaoh? Did all the empires come from the Pharaoh? Did Egypt just spread this whole idea of priest kings all over the world, ultimately? I don't know the answer to that, but it's an interesting thing to ponder. How much of our history that we've been told is true? How much of it is real? And I don't know the answer to that either. I don't know the answers to a lot of things, but we live in an interesting time. Now, I read a Gnostic thing that went by and slammed the Judaism and Christianity. I mean, it slammed it, and probably Muslim too, but especially Judaism and Christianity. I mean, the Gnostic thing put out by John Lash, I couldn't even watch it. I mean, I reached a point where I couldn't any longer take it. I mean, when he said that the reason the Gnostics did not succeed is because they didn't have hate in them. And it's really important that we have hate in us. When he said that, I was finished. I was finished listening to John Lash. I will probably never listen to him again. Maybe I will, because he does say some good things. But that attitude, I just can't stomach that attitude of hatred being a requirement to change the world. Love is what's going to change the world, not hatred, not more polarization. The polarization has been the game all along. Now, it's interesting because I do believe that John Lash is correct, that the God of the Old Testament is certainly not the creator, and he's certainly not a good guy. He's a very bad guy. Jehovah, Yahweh, is an evil personage. I know that's going to get me in a lot of trouble to say that. And I'm not trying to put down anybody's religion. In fact, I do believe that the Jewish prophets, including Jeremiah that I mentioned in the previous video, were people that were bringing a message from Creator. And often the message was at odds with the leadership of what was known as Judah or Israel. It was at odds. In other words, they stoned the prophets. They killed everybody that God sent to them. Now, who was the God that was sending it? Here's the paradox. I'm saying Jehovah, who commanded, let not your eye pity, neither let it have mercy, don't show, that cannot be God. Or it's a very lowly evolved God. A God that's a jealous God? Give me a break. I mean, how can a God be jealous if he's really God or she's really goddess? How can that be? It can't. It can't. And yet, through all of this, it is my conviction, belief, that good was interwoven in all of the mess and all of the conspiracy. Throughout all of this thing, there was woven a thread that ultimately is in each of us that's going to liberate us. And Aristo talked about it some, of finding that place of balance within our heart where we recognize and we tell ourselves the truth about what we feel, about everything. We start telling ourselves the truth. If we're afraid, and how can you not be afraid living in this world if you're honest with yourself? You may be in great denial, but this is a fearful world, full of fear. I mean, full of fear. That's the reality of the world that we live in. And the leaders propagate the fear. They push it. They are pushers, and the drug is fear. Because if we freeze, if we stop trying and give up, they win. When I say they, the ignorant, dark, psychopathic entities that have risen to the top of our world, the pharaonic entities. Some of the pharaohs were good. Not all of them were even bad, I believe. But the principle of a leadership, of a hierarchy that dominated the people and enslaved the people, goes back to Egypt, according to Anastasia, and I believe by inference, according to this Dr. Ross. And Switzerland, could it be that Switzerland is really the head of the whole financial empire that has actually ruled every empire from the beginning, or I should say the post-Atlantean world? Not talking about anything that happened before that. We're talking about this current cycle. It might be a 13,000-year cycle, I'm not sure. Anastasia put it back at 10,000 years. I'm not sure what the truth is. And I don't know that anybody that says they're sure is probably either self-deceived or self-aggrandized, because how can anybody know? We've been lied to as a culture all along. And we're going to have some extraterrestrials probably teach us our own history, because we've had the wool pulled over our eyes a great deal. Anyway, my point in all of this is that we don't know anything that we think we know. And we're treading new ground. We're going where we've never gone before. This is the unexplored frontier of taking responsibility for ourselves and for the world that we live in, and bringing the changes that are necessary to actually give peace a chance, to actually create a system that allows us to grow, to be compassionate, to be wise, to be gentle and yet strong, to be rich, but not rich so that we can dominate others and enslave others, but rich so that we can bless others. All wealth is to bless with. It's our birthright. It's not something that It's not a communist or socialist system to give people what's theirs. It's common sense. It belongs to all the people. To think that it only belongs to those that have enslaved humanity is crazy. I mean, you need to really look at that if that's what you believe. If you believe that the people that have all the money got it because they're good people, look again. Look more closely. All the wars, all the polarization, all of the conflict has been perpetrated by people that want to control others and want to, they're on an ego trip. They're sick. They're demented. They're out of balance with themselves and with everything. And we need to look at this. But we have the opportunity to each become a king and a priest in our own castle, in our own right, to rule over ourselves, not to rule over somebody else, but to rule over ourselves, to know God for ourselves, to know our own soul. This is where we are, I believe, in the evolution of consciousness. This is what is before us at this present time. And please, please, keep an open mind, because nothing that we've been told is the whole truth. And a lot of what we've been told isn't the truth at all. It's a total fabrication, a total lie, including our religions. So we have to learn to take things more lightly and with an open heart, and be compassionate to ourselves and to others, because we need to work this out together. We need to cooperate, and we need to grow up as a human family. And I pray that even the pharaohs, the modern day pharaohs, who are bankers, might have their awakening too. If I had my druthers, I'd rather have everybody come home and find our way back to the core of who we are. And we really are love, despite all appearances to the contrary. Thank you for listening. Have a beautiful Sunday. Namaste.